Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, today is August 12th, 2020. So we're just having a friendly discussion about basic instructions. And, you're a coaching client. For anybody that's watching this in the future sometime, Dave is a master practitioner of NLP and business consultant. And I appreciate you taking the time just to talk about this. Let's talk about what we've done. So we started working together back in February 10th, 2020. And so today's August 12th. And I'm curious now, 27 weeks after we first started working with Basic Instructions NLP, and we started with your breakthrough session, how's the work that you and I have done together? How has Basic Instructions helped you create positive change in the overall Dave Goodall experience? I mean, we already started talking about your daughter, and I know you get excited about that. So then, playing college.
I need to tell you this story because I can't make this shit up. So I'm sitting there. It's the last game. This guy, Mickey Dale, he's a national scouting report. He sets up girls for strategies to be seen by these colleges, and that's how he gets girls recruited in to D1 schools. And I sat there. He sat down and he had an Oregon shirt, a Portland, Oregon Ducks hat. And I was like, dude, you're a recruiter? He's like, I do national scouting. I help girls. He goes, when these showcases, he goes, nowadays you have to have a profile. And he walked me through the whole process. He's like, we just got to talking for 45 minutes. He got to see her hit, got to see her play out in right field. And then found out the Dale family donated all the money to the NC State softball stadium. It's extended. So we're sitting there talking all this other stuff. And I'm like, I found out my daughter really wants to, she's talking about Ivy League schools now, like Princeton or Brown or Yale. She can go to any camp starting now and make relationships with any coach she wants across any college across the country. But it's one of those things that now I've got a coach that wants to see her that has a daughter in a position that my daughter, when she can build a relationship with any of those Ivy League coaches with her skills, she could be dialed in by the time she's ready to graduate.
You're thinking of just about the work that we've done in learning NLP, now you're a master practitioner and applying it on this part of the journey with your daughter. I mean, how much value do you think the work that we've done and what you've learned with Basic Instructions and NLP, how much difference has that made in these types of opportunities? Because now all of a sudden,
what's amazing is the NLP programming, teaching her at such a young age on how the conscious unconscious works. And I was asking her, I was like, when you go up to bat and he's pissed off at you, what are you thinking? She's like, I'm going to crush that ball. Like, I'm not worried about, am I going to miss it? Am I going to strike out? I'm like, I want to know, how am I going to hit it? And where's it going to land on the other side of that fence? And I was like, how at 13 did you program yourself to be like, F you, watch this, it's going there. And she points and it goes. I'm like, you're 13.
She made the mind commands, body obeys.
Yeah.
So that's how I did that. The mind commands, the body obeys. She gets it. Why? Because you taught it to her. You installed that program. It seems to be taking on a whole new meaning.
Well, it's unexplainable. I mean, in the sense that you can't make this stuff up. Right. Like, I don't know. You can't put a price tag on it, right? And it's just, even our conversations, I leverage our conversations with my clients, and then I leverage our conversations in my thought process. I mean, right. And I leveraged a lot of my MER techniques. I traveled back, sat down in the stand, just working the techniques and just being in the moment, enjoying. It's like, holy crap, here I am in Virginia with my daughter at a national, and she's 13. Like, just appreciate the moment. And it's like, so to answer your question, like, there's no price tag on the value. It's life changing, not just for me, my family, but also my clients, my community, the way I communicate and listen to people. So just by having that slow down to linguistically listen to the dominant communication style of that person, like, I'm teaching people who are teaching people, which, I mean, the amount of sales they booked last week, just because of being aware linguistically, the language patterns that they want to hear or be spoken to. So a lot of it's just perspectives. It's my old stories. I had it through the MER session. It's like we blow it up and obliterate it. I don't know how to say that word, but it changes your perspective. Like, your baggage of crap is gone. And I share this with my clients. I'm like, you're still going to feel anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. Like, it's still going to show up. what's cool about it is when it does show up, you don't have all the bullshit behind it, making it heavier. You're allowed to approach it in that moment. It's hard for a dad not to be emotionally engaged with the situation. But what I was really able to do is I didn't have all the heavy weight, and I could disengage and embrace the moment and really see it for what it is. And then I could spin the story 10 different ways until I found the one I wanted.
Right. Yeah. Controlling the story. That's my basic instructions lingo. It's all about controlling the story. It's with the work we did, starting with the breakthrough session and applying all 4 basic instructions. It's, my objective is to get that Dave Goodall experience in every way, shape, and form to feel exactly the way you want it to. Or in the words of, our teacher, Dr. Matt, we just want we want to be Pono as we go along. So
yeah,
when you and we're coaching together, we have fun, we tell jokes, we nerd out on NLP stuff. And one thing I always make sure of when I'm working with clients is at the end of the day, we're working on business, improving the bottom line. So talk to me about where you were when we first started together with you coaching and consulting business, and how Basic Instructions coaching has improved your business, increased the bottom line. Because at the end of the day, you want your money, right? Don't we all?
Yeah. It's just kind of like before my business was like popsicle sticks and duct tape. Like I was trying to throw stuff on social media, what sticks, throw stuff here. And I kind of knew what I was, my solutions were, but really sitting down increased enough to make an impact, right? I brought on 3 new clients since then. It helped me focus on what it takes to market. I was in a path of, doing social media and all this other stuff. And I don't know if there's a coincidence or what, but you and I love to geek out on the quantum. It's like within a week or so after doing in the NLP, the MER, and we laid the foundation, and now we've got this whole business plan to put me up in front of these big corporations. So it's the bottom line, the path that's being paved is huge in the next 6 months.
Is that, all this work got new clients, which means more money coming in. What's really important to think about is where is business going? And obviously it sounds like the work we've done in with NLP has led to a lot of these opportunities.
Just challenging me on who are you? What's the problem you solve? Where is your client sit? Helping me create the avatar, really getting me dialed in has really got me focused on what's possible, where before I couldn't see it. And I probably couldn't see it because of all my baggage. Now that my baggage is gone and I have someone that I can believe in and trust that can paint the picture, now it's endless. The opportunities in the next 6 months are going to be endless. So
Exactly. That way we get to control the story going forward. We change the story from the past and we write the story going forward. So now, as you already mentioned, you're a master practitioner of NLP now. So let's just talk about that for a second. So, my NLP journey started back in '97, looking and digging through the trash, essentially. But seriously, and I just imagine the work we did with Basic Instructions had quite an effect on you. So would you say that your positive experience working with me in Basic Instructions NLP, is that play a factor into what inspired you to become a master practitioner in NLP and integrate more NLP into your coaching?
Yeah. I spent 22 years in the IT industry as high-level project managers. I worked with the Fortune 50s with a lot of change management, IT protocols, all that kind of stuff. And when I was laid off and went and got my certified professional coach, a lot of my coaching programming I know had a lot of NLP. I was aware of NLP. And then you and I crossed paths last March, and you're like, yeah, I'm an NLP master practitioner. I was like, and I've signed up on Udemy for an NLP course, and it's it just didn't resonate. It was weird. And then I talked to you, and you're like, hey, you need to go to San Diego, meet me there. You need to know what all this is all about. I came out of there, we did an MER, and then, basically I'm there signing up for Master Prac. I mean, it was just, it was a no-brainer, right? It was spending time with you introducing me to Dr. Matt, spending time with Dr. Matt, getting that, staying in contact with you, getting the MER done, going to Master Prac, staying in conversation with you. It's just, you and I love to geek out about the quantum linguistics. It's the quantum. I love the science behind it. It's so it's allowed me to take my coaching business, which was already successful, to see the vision of its potential success or the increased success I'm already seeing.
But the biggest thing that I always think about with all the different things we've learned through NLP is the integration of all of it. And so talk to me about the integration of all these NLP learnings. One of the big things we focus on, especially when I'm working with other NLP practitioners, coaches, is taking these powerful tools and learnings and integrating them into our mental programming, making NLP and mastering our mindset automatic. Because life happens in moments. We already know as master practitioners, the past is in your unconscious, the future is in your imagination. So the integration is how we're able to navigate times like this weekend we had, it being able to navigate it in the moment. Just talk to me about how Basic Instructions and NLP coaching has enhanced your everyday, dealing with your wife, your daughters, just how has it improved your family?
I don't really know where to take this from, but there's so many examples. And don't forget too, is right when we started MER, Jen had just been laid off from her job. Mm-hmm. And through the Basic Instructions, the MER, and setting up her SMART goal, she was hired back at the company with a 10% raise and a bonus increase and a more enjoyable position where she's having fun again. And, that created a different energy vibe in the house, which makes it easy for me as well. So it's like, so I came back from Master Prac, and again, I had a limiting belief that it was hard for me to learn, hard for me to remember. What I learned through all this is I have a strong auditory digital and a strong visual context. So I like to see things. I like to have internal conversations. I like to have checklists. And what I've learned is that's my strategy. I can integrate new strategies. But you and I had a conversation when I came back from Master Prac. It was so simplified. Like, it was in there. I'm like, how can I recall this? Like, I'll hear my daughter say some dang stupid excuse as to why she can't do something. And I go right into the decision destroyer. Think back to your last race when you were crushing some girl on the track. How were you feeling? Knowing what you know now, how many options do you have ahead of you? And all of a sudden I'm seeing her breakdown. It's like, all right, when are we going to go ride? And all of a sudden she's like, I'll go get my stuff on now. And it's just like, it's so in there. And, I'll give you another example is before NLP, I was very empathetic. So anybody that brought an emotional story or dropped tears, I was in their shit. Like, white on rice. I was like in it. I couldn't have an outside perspective because now I'm feeling sorry for them. I'm empathetic. And I had a client this morning. We're scheduled to do MER this Friday. So, of course, pre-call. You know what happened? She showed up in tears because she knows she's getting ready to let go of some shit. But before NLP, I probably would have been, oh, what did he say? Oh, how did you take, I would have been like in it as opposed to just observing the, holy crap, this is going to be amazing. And it just...
You're helping her rewrite the story. Helping her rewrite the story. So, just thinking about you play so many roles. You're a husband, you're a father, you're an entrepreneur. Talk about how, the work we've done, NLP, has improved just, how you and Jennifer communicate, how things are at home. Because, we did her breakthrough session too.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been married for 20 years, and marriage has always worked. It's always worked. So what it's helped us with is I'm starting to see the trends and the patterns where before I'd be, loose lips, I'd have to defend myself, the yelling and screaming would start, but I can now step back and be like, yeah, no, I don't need to engage. Like, there's no dog in this one. Like, your dog can win. I don't care. Yeah. It's just more of a self-awareness, language patterns. I'm able now to pick up when it's like, oh, that's not me, that's your shit. I mean, anytime you have better communication, better awareness, same thing in my relationship with Jen. When she's engaged, she's fired up, or there's fear, there's some sort of an emotion. Rather than engaging in the emotion, I engage the situation. Right. So what I've been able to do through NLP, MER, for Jen and I both working with you, but like you said, now Jen and I going through it together, I've got awareness of her strategies. I've got awareness of her behaviors. And rather than leaning on her, telling her she's a piece of shit because of it, it's like, hey, are you aware that you do this? Like, if you and I work together on a new behavior or a new strategy, what would that look like? It's like, what am I doing that's triggering this behavior?
So learning NLP has made it easier for you guys to work together on life.
Yeah. Yeah. So and I know you don't have kids, but what makes it easier is my youngest Dylan, who plays softball, and I know this is the wrong thing to say, she's kind of a mini me. And Kennedy has a lot of similarities to Jen. So from an NLP perspective, Jen will come to me and she's like, oh, she's doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, look in the mirror.
Right.
Like the universe from an NLP perspective is giving you a gift right now. How do you want to handle it? Do you want to hang on to it? Do you want to let go of it? And the ironic part is Dylan is the same as me. Every time she spins me up, I'm like, I'm looking in the mirror. So from that perspective, it allows me to have that outside perspective to help Jen to see how Kennedy's showing up, how Kennedy shows up in her, and vice versa. And we're in that teenage stage. We got girls in high school and they're getting jobs, and Kennedy's now working at the Science Museum, and Dylan's being recruited for collegiate level play. And it's a highly stressful, adventurous time. But without that NLP and awareness, oh my God, it'd be so much harder.
Right. So I mean, that's what it's all about for me, is making it so that Dave Goodall experience all the different facets of it, all fit together, move smoothly. So,
right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when we talk about client avatars and the people that I work with, I work with helping NLP practitioners integrate these learnings. So my question for you now as a master practitioner and an NLP Basic Instructions coaching client, for other NLP practitioners that are looking to master these techniques and concepts, make living this NLP or HUNA automatic in their business, their health, their relationships, or maybe for other coaches who are looking to improve their business by adding NLP elements into it like you have. How would you describe the value of the investment you made in yourself hiring me as your coach with Basic Instructions NLP? Is Basic Instructions something you would indeed recommend to other NLP practitioners and coaches?
Yeah, I mean, for what it did for me is I already knew I had a 1 foot NLP, or I had been talking to the universe about it, and I didn't really know what it was, and then you showed up. So I don't look at coincidences, because there are none. There was a reason, right?
Right.
And you gave me the nudge. Having that engagement gave me the nudge. I'm a very curious person.
Mm-hmm.
To say, could I have done it without you? Probably. Would it have been as easy? Probably not. It's like I needed someone. Again, we clicked, and I love the football background, so I love the athletic perspective. So I think there was a connection from an athletic perspective, knowing that there has to be a certain drive, but you shoving me off that cliff with the way you did in such the right way that worked for me. And I don't know if you do that with everyone or if you just accommodate with whoever needs what. You're just
my ways. I have my ways. I have my ways.
Yeah, and
because you as a coach, you have your ways.
Yeah, and there's these subtle things. And it's just, man, everybody needs to know NLP, because you need to know the language. Like, I think everybody needs to know the language.
I mean, another thing too is you've been killing it with your workouts. And, a lot of the SMART goal stuff we worked on.
Oh yeah,
a lot of physical fitness goals on there. So, how has that been going since we started back in February? Here we are in August. I imagine that you got a story to tell about that one.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a combination of you and Dr. Matt when I was down in Tampa. Well, you and I, when I first did the MER, I started a workout program. And one of my things that I do with my clients, you got to make it easy. So I've got I can't remember. I downloaded a program, but the 90 days were up. Time to flip and start the program over. And I was looking at my note, and I was like, well, I ended up around 250, 275. So I threw on 185. For 100 reps. I got to rep 85 and my legs were like, what the hell are you doing? And I couldn't walk for the next 3 days.
Right.
But for me, I'm 50 next year, and, I'm probably the fittest I've ever been. I did 185 pounds, 100 reps in less than 20 minutes, so I'm feeling strong. I've got high energy.
I mean, let's just step back. I like to go to the press box, and let's just step back and look at the press box view of the Dave Goodall experience you just described to me since our breakthrough session. Dylan is on the course to be the greatest softball player that's ever lived. Communication at home with you and Jennifer, with Jennifer and Kennedy in the NLP has helped in terms of that. The bottom line, you've gotten more clients, you've got You're creating more professional opportunities with your business. You're in the best physical shape of your life at age 50. And, to me, it feels good to hear that this is the story after you started working with Basic Instructions NLP, because this is what it's all about, is to make it so that we feel, that word empowerment gets thrown around so much in this personal development space that we work in. But I just look at empowerment as a feeling of control over my story. Mm-hmm. That's it. And to me, the story you told me sounds awesome. And I'm just grateful that I got to play the role that I got to play. So it's, working with other NLP practitioners who want to master this stuff, because that's a big part of what we worked on and what I help people. Yeah. Is take these.
And don't forget too.
Take this from what I learned and make it become who I am. It's what we do with instructions, So
we often find at certain times in our life that we're going down a dead-end path, not realizing that the universe has been telling us, hey, this was temporary. Yeah. Some of us get so fearful and scared to make that change, we're willing to sacrifice our self-worth, enjoyment, happiness for this. This is what it has to be. And Basic Instructions, man, kicks you in the ass. It's like, no, this is the lesson. You're not getting the lesson. Get the lesson and move on.
And that's it, man. Like, is looking at everything that happened in our life. It happened. It's an interesting story, good, bad, or indifferent. Now, how are we going to finish this off?
Yeah, and I use that board behind me all the time, and you and I talked about it. I was like, look, everything's an emotion. It's a feeling, and it's a belief, and it's a strategy, right? It's a behavior and a strategy. So when I'm talking to my clients that are in my family, I'm like, what strategy are you using, and how's it benefiting you? If you don't like that strategy, go find one that's going to give you the benefit. So the people that are sitting on their butts and sitting on their hands and not doing crap, going, woe is me, I can't do it. That's a strategy or a behavior you adopted. It's not serving you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apply the Basic Instructions, flip the bit, get a new one in there, get rid of the bad crap, and move forward.
How do I do that on the fly? How do I do that when I need to? And that's a lot of what Basic Instructions is about. It's like taking these learnings and turning it from something I know into something I am, creating strategies out of it. And you have these ways so that when things like this weekend come up, you don't have to go running looking for this shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's no time for that. And so, that's a lot of what I do, is work with practitioners to integrate this stuff, make it automatic. That's always the objective.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, because nothing's real except for the moment. So if I can't control my emotion in the moment, then I can't control my world, period. Because that's my world is this moment. So, that's where, any other NLP practitioners who have learned these things and they understand the power in NLP or the power in HUNA, and maybe they're feeling like, I wish I had more control over these things and were able to apply them more in their life. Would you recommend Basic Instructions coaching for somebody who wants to do that?
Yeah, definitely. The coaching is perfect. Because you're either going to go through the motions and you're going to help, but then they're going to leverage, us as a crutch. So that's what I'm doing with my clients. It's like, great, I'll help you put yourself back together, but I need you to know how to do it without me, because I don't want you to need me the rest of my life. I need you to take these learnings. I need you to figure this out, and I need you to go and impact the world and in your community. So,
right.
Yeah, Basic Instructions, you got to start somewhere. Start here.
Right.
And the impact is huge. Like, I think I shared this with you. My daughter, we did a bunch of anchoring for hitting in the parking lot at one of her state tournaments. And then as we were walking, I was like, she'd be walking up, I was like, anchor it. I'd see her go through, and she goes through her process, and I see her hit her anchor. One of the new girls that was guest playing, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, my dad hypnotized me. He did this anchor state on how to hit a double or a triple. She's like, can you do it to me? So I looked over, my daughter sitting there doing an anchor, 13 years old, on a 15-year-old girl in the dugout before she goes out, and that girl goes up and hits a home run. I'm like, so that's the Basic Instruction power, is that hit me, hit that, hit, you know what I'm saying? It's like, right. That's a domino.
It's empowerment. Again, it's all what you do for your clients is, I don't want to wave my magic wand and fix your problem. I want to teach you how to use those shoes. Just click 3 times.
Yep.
it's clear that you've gained a mastery and a control of this stuff. And that was my objective from the door, is that,
perfect.
we're all on our journey down the yellow brick road, but we all have the shoes, which is just a metaphor, NLP, for the human mind.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do I use this to get what I want? How do I use these shoes to get home? Well, here are the basic instructions. There's no place like home. Go.
Go.
Sometimes all we need is the instructions. And that's exactly what I aim to give to my clients. Working with business, the bottom line in making more money and more opportunities is always the main focus. But all in all, it's about the Dave Goodall experience. And, when someone says, hey, how are you doing? And you cross-reference everything that's going on in your world, you can congruently say, you know what, I'm good. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Focusing on the outcome as opposed to what the outcome she doesn't want, focusing on the outcome she does want. And that's all NLP. I mean, it's like the linguistics conversation with our unconscious mind on the outcome desired, not the outcome that we don't want. And it's so, if we could teach that to the world right now, these protests and all this crap that's going on, how much that stuff would disappear in an instant.